Good evening, everyone. This is Geraldo Lemos Neto and Marco Gandra. We are transmitting live from Belo Horizonte, Brazil, the programs to Know Spiritism. We thank you all for being with us. We are continuing to study the works of Chico Xavier in Brazil. Today is the 13th program that we talk about Chico Xavier's work. We are transmitting from the Portal Saber Espiritismo in Brazil. Also, the network, Discover Spiritism Network, DSN, Discovery Spiritism Dissemination, and also Kardec Radio from Virginia. Thank you for being with us. As I told you, today we are still talking about the role of Chico Xavier in the transition time, the planetary transition that we are nowadays in. One important time was the day of July 20th, 1969. This was a very special day because man went to the moon with the Apollo 11 program, and Neil Armstrong was the first astronaut to step on the moon, and he himself was recorded saying, "That's one small step for a man, a giant leap for mankind." Chico Xavier told me personally in 1986 in a conversation that I had with him in his home in Uberaba, Minas Gerais, that this very same day was a very special day for humankind. Not only for this achievement, for the first time ever, we left the crust of Earth's crust, and step in another planetary moon. And at that time, he told me that the higher spirits was they were gathering to decide about our future. And Chico Xavier himself talked about this in the program that he was live on Brazilian television, the TV Tupi from São Paulo, the Pinga Fogo program in 1971. The next we can see Chico Xavier. And before we talk about this, let's hear from him. Of course, he's speaking in Portuguese, but we have English subtitle. Please, Gandra, let's see Chico.
Como que o senhor explica as violências do mundo atual, como a guerra do Vietnã, a violência da sociedade de consumo? Isso, a nosso ver, não representa grande evolução da humanidade.
Se os países mais cultos do globo puderem suportar a pressão de seus próprios problemas sem entrarem em choques destrutivos, como por exemplo guerras de extermínio que deixarão consequências imprevisíveis para nós todos no planeta, então veremos uma era extraordinariamente maravilhosa. A própria automação, diz ele, nos está dizendo que nós vamos ser aliviados ou quase que aposentados do trabalho mais rude no trato com o planeta para a educação da nossa vida mental, através de informações do universo com proveito enorme, proveito incalculável para benefício da humanidade. Mas isso terá um preço, terá o preço da paz. Se nós pudermos nos suportarmos uns aos outros, quando não nos pudermos amar uns aos outros, segundo os preceitos de Jesus, até que essa era prevaleça, provavelmente no próximo milênio. Não sabemos se no princípio, se no meados ou se no fim. O terceiro milênio nos promete maravilhas, mas se o homem, filho e herdeiro de Deus, também se mostrar digno dessas concessões.
Chico, é o companheiro da Globo que formula esta pergunta. Nossa humanidade assiste neste momento a mais um lance dramático da corrida espacial, quando a Apolo 15 se encaminha para a Lua. Acreditam os mestres espirituais de Chico Xavier, se ainda em nossa atual civilização o homem poderá entrar em contato com civilizações de outros planetas?
Estamos subordinando a resposta ao mesmo critério com que foi estruturada a informação para a nossa estimada entrevistadora que falou sobre a nova era. Se não entrarmos numa guerra de extermínio nos próximos 50 anos, então nós podemos esperar realizações extraordinárias da ciência humana partindo da Lua. Então diz o nosso Emmanuel que está presente, então nós não podemos também acusar os nossos irmãos que estão se dirigindo à Lua para pesquisas que devem ser consideradas da máxima importância para o nosso progresso futuro, porque as despesas efetuadas com isso serão naturalmente compensadas com, talvez, com a tranquilidade para uma sociedade mais pacífica na Terra, porque se não entrarmos, por exemplo, num conflito de proporções imensas, então na Lua é possível que o homem construa as cidades de vidro, as cidades estufas, onde cientistas possam estabelecer pontos de apoio para a observação da nossa galáxia. Teremos, quem sabe, a possibilidade de entrar em contato com outras comunidades da nossa galáxia. Então vamos definitivamente encerrar o período bélico na evolução dos povos terrestres, porque nós vamos compreender que fazemos parte de uma família universal, que não somos o único mundo criado por Deus. O próprio Jesus, a quem reverenciamos como nosso Senhor e Mestre, disse: há muitas moradas na casa de meu Pai. Portanto, nós precisávamos prestigiar a paz dos povos, a tranquilidade de todos, com o respeito de todos, com a veneração máxima pela ciência, para que nós possamos oferir esses benefícios no futuro, talvez mais próximo do que remoto, se nós fizermos por merecer.
So, what did you think? How wonderful was this? Chico Xavier himself telling us about this 50 years period of time that just ended in July 2019, and all the worries about the war, the Third World War, all the worries about the nuclear extermination of humankind, and also all the hopes that the higher spirits had towards the progress of humankind after this period of time. So we are seeing Chico Xavier, and also it's very important to state that what Chico Xavier told us. We are on the edge of new times in which science will open for us all, an immense future in the universe. The importance of science is crucial in this time. As we enter the last 38 years before 2057, the date that Chico Xavier told us in the second program, Pinga Fogo program, that Earth will be a regenerated planet, so that we are now in this process of implementing, of getting all the credits that we had now after these 50 years of test that we just passed, and so that we are in a way to a very rapid progress in all sectors of human knowledge. And that's why science will be very important, because science will open all the doors of knowledge towards the spiritual life, towards reincarnation, towards life after death, towards other civilizations, extraterrestrials, civilizations that will come and will make contact with us and will give us lots of new technology and also knowledge of new paradigm in science. So we are, like Chico said, on the edge of new times. And the importance of science in this period of time is very, very much a paradigm for us. In the next one, we'll see, please, Gendra, that also Chico Xavier told us that we will understand that we are part of the universal family, that we are not the only world created by God. So this is so important, because Chico Xavier was the first important religious figure in the whole world to assume online, on television, that we are not alone, that humankind here on earth are just part of the universal family, that there are other families spread all over the universe, all over the planets, moons and constellations and galaxies, the extraterrestrial beings that are our brothers also. And we will understand that we are not the only ones created by God here on earth. And we shall go towards this understanding that we are much greater family, and we must be in peace with all of the other brothers, in other words. So this is also a paradigm. Chico Xavier in 1971 was ahead of his time, and probably nowadays in 2019 we can understand him more clearly than the people that saw the Pinga Fogo program on TV in Brazil in 1971. in his last words at that time, he also remembered us the saying of John the Apostle in the Gospel, chapter 14, verse 2, that the saying of Jesus Christ himself, in my Father's house there are many mansions, many dwellings. So this was recognized by Jesus himself. In a way, Spiritism gives us a new perspective as we get to understand the books of Allan Kardec and Chico Xavier. Allan Kardec himself, 33 books, if we count every Spiritist review as each year as a book. Chico Xavier, we just knew that there was a new release on Chico Xavier's work, and we now are updating the list of Chico Xavier's work for 526 books. So if we get together all those books, if we study them, certainly we have an expansion of our consciousness. And after the saying of Chico Xavier in 1971 at the Brazilian TV show, we are now being asked to a cosmic integration. And this cosmic integration will happen in the next 38 years. Let's see what in the second program, Pinga Fogo, in Tupi television in São Paulo, on the 23rd of December 1971, Chico Xavier told us. It is transcribed in the book Plantão de Respostas, and someone live asked Chico about when the Earth would be a regenerated planet, and Chico Xavier responded live to this person. He said, "We are very close to a major planetary transformation. The social, spiritual, emotional, and physical calamities will be all over the planet." Listen to Chico Xavier. This is the main characteristic of the late 20th century and the first 20 years of the 21st century. This is what we are all experiencing here on Earth. All kinds of calamities, social calamities, spiritual calamities, like, the problem with suicide, the children that are deciding to kill themselves in early ages, all kinds of obsessions, of people suffering from depression, from excessive sorrow. So all kinds of spiritual calamities, emotional calamities also, in the structure of the families, and also the structure of our nation. Physical calamities also. We are seeing so many disasters in, like, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis all over Earth, especially here in the early years of the 21st century. So this is very much the time we are living in. But let's hear what Chico Xavier told more. Now he states, Emmanuel claims that the Earth will be a regenerative world around 2057. But before that, several types of transformations will occur on the planet to foster the acceleration of this process. And here is a very important paradigm. The year 2057. Why didn't Chico told 2050 or 2100 or even 2060? Because Chico Xavier was referring to the end of the transitional period, the planetary transition of 2057, which is 200 years after the publication of the Spirit's book in Paris in 1857, 18th of April, 1857. And as we can see in the later book of Allan Kardec, the Genesis, in the chapter 18, Allan Kardec himself told us that the higher spirits told him that the initial time, the beginning of the transitional period, the planetary transitional, would begin 100 years prior of the launch of the Spirit's book in Paris in 1857. So it was begun in 1757 and will terminate in 2057. So the whole period of time for the transitory, the transition planetary transition time is 300 years, 3 centuries. So that we can understand why Emmanuel claims that Earth will be a regenerative world in 2057. But Chico also tells us that Emmanuel told him that before that time, so we are talking about the time now from 2019 until the year 2057, a period of 38 years from now till 2057. He told Chico, and Chico transmitted it to us, that several types of transformations will occur on the planet to foster the acceleration of this process. So what can we expect from now on? We can expect a lot of transformations in all kinds of institutions, the family institution, the government institution, the economic system, also the university and science technology institution, the psychology or psychiatric institution, the mental health, everything is expected to be in rapid transformations that will occur on this planet Earth to foster the acceleration of this process. The process of transformation is accelerating and will be accelerating even more, so that we can finally achieve this higher post of being a regenerative world around 2057. And Chico also told us, few will awaken, but many will be able to work with the neighbor, trying to awaken the consciousness that sleep. So here is our role in this planetary transition. All of us in the Spiritism, the Spiritist doctrine, we can say that we are awake. We are not, sleeping, because we have access to a greater knowledge, much greater than many of the people of earth, so that we have a role in this process, and we can be part of this process that is accelerating the process to give people knowledge, spiritual knowledge, so that they can understand themselves, understand their own role in this process, and be an active individual in the transformation of Earth. After that, Chico also told us, Emmanuel tells us that in one way or another, we all, spirits bound to earth, will keep in our intimate the notion of the end of time. Listen, Chico Xavier never talked about the end of the life or the end of the world, the end of earth. Those that say that are misinterpreting him. He talked about the end of the time of the earth as a planet of trials and proofs. That's the time that is ending, effectively ending. And everyone, no matter what religion and beliefs, everyone has a sense of it, as Emmanuel himself is telling through Chico Xavier, that we all, spirits bound to earth, keep in our intimacy the notion of this end of time. And also, as a consequence, we know that we don't have more time. We have to do the transformation, not only the social, the spiritual, the physical, but in ourselves, the moral and ethics transformation in ourselves, to be part of this greater plan that is giving Earth a higher opportunity. And Chico continues, some understand this process in a more serene way, and I hope that we all spiritists, we all Christians can understand this process in a more serene way. Others, like Emmanuel is saying through Chico, will have to wait for the painful experience that awakes consciousness. Which group we are in? We hope we are in the first ones that will understand this process in a more serene way, because nobody wants to be in pain. Nobody wants to suffer. And if we cannot, or if we do not want to have pain and suffering in our lives, we have this wonderful access of Spiritism, the Spiritist doctrine, that can give us the consoling, the understanding, and the knowledge to surpass all kinds of pains, all kinds of sufferings, proofs and trials that we live in our lives, in our daily lives. And ending this answer, Chico Xavier, in a brilliant way, will close the subject. He said, work and love for Jesus. This is the way. There is no other way. Jesus is the pathway to our happiness. And to work for Jesus, to work and love with Jesus, is the only way, so that we can be in peace, in harmony with ourselves, with our own souls, and also to be in peace with everyone else besides us. Chico told us, we very likely will face painful years ahead of us. And I think sincerely that we are already having these painful years. But as the Spirit Emmanuel clarifies, God does not allow pain without medication for the necessary relief. So we have all kinds of trials and proofs, difficult times, challenges in our lives, personal lives, family lives, also our professional tasks, our religious also works, our social works, every kind of challenges. But we can cope with them, and we can surpass all kinds of difficulties if we have Jesus in our heart, in ourselves. If we understand that his pathway is our pathway, and we can go with Jesus and have, a wonderful life, no matter what. We can go to a victory within ourselves. And so that after this wonderful saying about this transitionary time, the end of the planetary transition that Chico Xavier explained so clear about this in the program Pinga Fogo in São Paulo in 1971, we understand that we have the perspective already, the Spiritist perspective. We have already expansion of consciousness because of the access we have to this almost 600 books. We have the knowledge that we are in a process of a cosmic integration. And what is our role in this whole process? Our role is building a better world. That's our task. We, all of us, and each one of us has a different compromise, a different task to fulfill. And of course, if we ask ourselves, we know what we can do for Spiritism. Mainly, most of us go to the center, the Spiritist center or group, asking for something to have from them and from the spirits. But we should ask what we can offer from us, from our heart, from our possibilities to the Spiritist doctrine, and to fulfill the task of building a better world for humankind. And we thank you all for being with us. And this image is much what we are talking about. The process of seeding and caring about this small plant that is already growing in human society. This small plant is regeneration, and we should care a great deal about this small plant, because it is going to grow and to give us flowers and fruits of happiness, peace, understanding, and knowledge. In above all, about love. This is about love, and this is about Christ, Jesus Christ. And I hope Jesus Christ is in our heart and minds, not only today, but from today on until everyone in one day in the future will be with plenty of happiness. Thank you all. See you next week.